All right, I think we're live now.
Did anybody post the link?
Yeah, I tweeted it. You guys can retweet it from my tweet.
Okay, I'll just do that real quick.
Anyway, how's it going, guys? It's been quite a while since we've done one of these, but it's for a good purpose. It's now been just over 2 years that VeriCoin's been around,
Yep.
and despite the price decreases, we're still worth several times what we were a month after we launched, which is pretty funny. We're still worth. I think I have some looping audio. Um, we're also going to be announcing our most recent research project, which is called Verium, and I'll let Doug explain Verium a little bit. And hopefully, in a couple minutes, JJ will be joining us. He was able to get a very nice VeriCoin birthday cake made, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So we successfully have a fully decentralized proof of stake coin now, and it took some time to get to that point because vast majority of proof of stake coins are not completely decentralized because they have a centralized mechanism for basically keeping the consensus in check. And we've removed that. Blackcoin also removed that mechanism. And we implemented our new proof of stake protocol, which is performing really good. I'll give you like an example. So when we first launched VeriCoin, we had pure coin proof of stake kind of 1.0 essentially, and Nova Coin's flavor of it, and similar to Blackcoin when they launched. And with that protocol, we had the large addresses that we could easily track on the blockchain would routinely get 30% of the blocks over 100 or 1,000 consecutive block period. And then we upgraded to proof of stake time, and we went down from routinely 30%, one address getting 30% of the blocks, to one address routinely getting 20% of the blocks. And then more recently with 1.6.4, we basically stiffened the proof of stake time parameters. We kind of pushed the network up against the proof of stake time function a little bit more because when the SuperNet wallet came on, they still got a lot of blocks because of age. So basically, we kind of pushed the whole network up closer to the brim of where the stake time function really starts to basically crop age off and proportionally to the lack of staking. And now the largest addresses with the most coins that we can easily track, those are the easy ones to track, routinely gets not much more than 10% of the blocks, and that's good because basically what it means is they're getting that address, for instance, number 2 address, is getting about 10% of the blocks on average, and they have close to 10% of the coins. So normally that would be equivalent to, say, if just the number of coins was the largest factor in the consensus, but as we all know, not everyone stakes their coins. So really, they are a greater share of the number of coins staking than 10%, yet they're only getting about 10% of the consensus because the more coins you have, the more active you have to be. So it ends up, I think, basically kind of pushing everyone that has medium to medium, smaller size wallets and larger wallets into a more competitive cluster of searching for stakes. The small wallets still get stakes, so they're competing with the largest wallets, and the largest wallets are not getting 30% of the blocks, which puts us at a better position than most proof of works because though there isn't an exceptional amount of computational power protecting the consensus, there is the value of the coins protecting the consensus, and 10% is much less than a standard proof of work mining distribution. So I think, and that's really good. We're really happy about that. In a way, the proof of stake coin, VeriCoin, in a way, is done in this sense. We, obviously there'll be, security improvements and so on. And like Pat said, we went through the bull and bear period, and we're still doing okay. And now we're thinking about step 2. And I did like a Twitter rant today. But basically, one of the things that I came to the conclusion of, and then I talked with Pat about it for like over the course of a year, because I had these ideas, and we didn't want, there's Jay, we didn't want to just create another coin. That's not what we're interested in doing. That if we wanted to do that, honestly, we wouldn't even use our names. We would be, a non-devs, the whole normal crypto thing. So what we wanted to do was create something novel, create something interesting that solves some problems. And one of the conclusions that I came to was a thought that you have when you first get into Bitcoin. We can see you and hear you, Jay. He can't hear us yet, though. One of the conclusions that you first come to when you come into Bitcoin is, wait, you mine this thing, but it's a coin. It doesn't really make sense to the average person. And the conclusion that I came to was actually proof of work is really more like mining for a commodity, and proof of stake is actually more like a currency where you earn interest on ownership, and it doesn't require anything essentially to earn the interest apart from ownership of the currency. And then we talked and wrestled with protocol ideas for, like, I would say over a year, and finally came to the conclusion that we could make a proof of work protocol that solves a number of problems with proof of work. And we could treat it as a digital commodity, which Bitcoin is both a currency and a digital commodity in the sense that you have to mine it for costs and you can use it as a currency. The problem is it pits security, which is like block time. Like Bitcoin has a 10-minute conservative block time for security reasons. It pits the security of the work method against a transaction system that has to be fast for purchasing, for transaction approval, for buying something at the store, and the merchant knowing that this is a real transaction. So it's almost two competing things, that it has to be a worse currency to be a better mined commodity, and to be a better mined, and to be a better currency, it has to be a worse mined commodity. So what we came to the conclusion of was that because we have this great fully decentralized proof of stake currency, and it's everything we want from a currency, then
I can't hear you guys. I don't know if you can hear me. I nothing.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Nothing I can do here. I don't know.
Go to settings, Jay. Oh, you can't hear me.
I can't lip read. You can hear. Okay, you can hear me. That's 50% on our way. All right. This is. I can't hear you. I'm gonna need to hear you. There's Pat. I went to the old classic one. The new one, I had no idea how to get in here. And you just love when things just work out perfectly. Oh, I knew this was gonna happen. All right,
so I'm gonna
moderated video call.
All right, I'm gonna mute JJ.
Yeah, mute JJ for now. I'll continue my spiel while he figures it out.
This will be. I had like a million questions from the community.
You can go, Doug.
Okay. Yeah, I muted him.
Yeah, I can like globally mute him. So like,
Okay. So we came to the conclusion that we already have a currency. It's decentralized. The network is very mature. It's stable. The consensus is strong. That we can now basically be more flexible, more versatile with a mining protocol and a mining algorithm, such that it doesn't have to have fast transaction time because it's not intended to be a currency. It's intended to be a mined commodity, like a digital resource or a private digital reserve, where you can literally just say to someone, there's the digital version of gold here, and then there's the digital version of money here, and that's what we want to build, is a new proof of work digital commodity, and we think we're going to, in the final stretch, call it a reserve. We're trying to find the best way to describe it, but basically, it's just a mined digital resource that brings value into the ecosystem because it requires cost for creation, and costs require selling for profit. And so basically either mined currencies burn out and fail, which is a possibility, or they succeed and the miners can mine at a profit above their costs, at which point the cost becomes a value infrastructure, essentially, and so on and so forth. But because it's not intended to be a currency, we can play with it more than everyone else, basically, up to this point, has played with POW. So I'll go into a couple of the aspects of Verium that we're going to employ, and then I'll let Pat go into some details on it as well. But one of the key things we're going to do is have a variable block time, and this enables us to basically not pit security against the block time. So what we can essentially do is the lower the computational power on the network, essentially the weaker the consensus, the slower the block time is. The stronger the computational power on the network, the faster the block time is. And what this allows us to be able to do is have, at all times, even at launch, a relatively conservatively safe consensus mechanism in place, rather than trying to bolt a weak early mining consensus into a fast transaction time. It's basically going to slowly, gradually, proportional to computational power, speed up as the network can support that level of infrastructure. Interestingly, this also solves the scaling problem, because as block time speeds up, so too does the amount of transactions that are contained in each block. So basically, by the block time speeding up as computational power increases, the block chain automatically scales to accommodate the number of transactions it needs, and it's proportional to usage of the mining of the coin, which is going to, in effect, be its primary usage, because it's a reserve, a digital reserve, a digital commodity. And Pat, you want to go into how we're going to link the two together, because this you were working on.
Sure. So as Doug mentioned, there's going to be a lot of cool variable features, which is sort of our trademark, I guess. And so to reiterate, we're going to have variable block times, which are cool. We're going to have variable. We're thinking about how to have variable rewards, so that essentially the halving is progressive, and as more people mine, and the hash rate goes up, the reward slowly goes down. So instead of like a defined change where Bitcoin in July is going to go down to 12.5 Bitcoins per block, this is going to be a gradual and progressive change, as a way to balance mining efficiency and mining security. And then finally, one thing that's going to really be the cornerstone of this is the fact that we're going to add the ability for VeriCoin to have auxiliary proof of work blocks, similar to how Dogecoin or Namecoin have it against Litecoin or Bitcoin. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow blocks to be forged for Verium, but the miners will also receive VeriCoin as a reward. And what this will do is we'll have additional blocks being created so that the chance of attacking goes down significantly. So if you can imagine, VeriCoin right now has a 1-minute block time. If we were to add another 1 block per 10 minutes, or 2 blocks per 10 minutes, or 3 blocks per 10 minutes, essentially you have an injection of a block that nobody but a miner can create. So somebody with 100% of VeriCoin couldn't even hit every block in a row. And what this does is it really improves the security of VeriCoin, which is really paramount, because if people with Verium and VeriCoin are using the two currencies side by side, they're switching to VeriCoin when they want to spend rapidly and holding a lot of Verium, it's really essential that they're both very secure. So in addition, we'll be working on a feature similar to Veribit, which will allow dynamic conversion at exchange rates as Veribit works right now between Verium and VeriCoin, so that you can have instant sending. But of course, due to Verium's longer block times, it won't be quite as fast as VeriCoin, which is a reason to keep some VeriCoin on hand. And that's something that Dave and I will be working on in the future to get this system going. Veribit's actually been very successful. There have been a few bugs, but a lot of the bugs have been due to Bitcoin blocks not being found quick enough, and then stuff being held up, or various things that aren't really under our control. And anyone that's used Veribit and had trouble knows that our support is very good. Everyone gets their money back, so we're not in it to go taking everybody's money. So, hey JJ, how's it going?
So sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So yeah, so the combination of Verium and VeriCoin we expect to be extremely powerful. So as Doug mentioned, we'll have a reserve, one that is vested in power and electricity consumption in the making of Verium. And then we'll have our quick, very, very fast, very efficient proof-of-stake VeriCoin, which will benefit from the security of VeriCoin blocks being found. And yeah, it'll be very cool. The fact that we'll have variable block time and variable rewards, which are effectively essentially halving as mining's going on, will make it so there's really something unique about Verium.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add that's really cool too is as Verium picks up steam and its block time speeds up, and its auxiliary POW blocks on the VeriCoin blockchain coming from Verium increase, the VeriCoin blockchain overall is going to speed up. So basically, the VeriCoin blockchain, as Verium becomes more and more stable, more and more secure, has more computational power behind it, VeriCoin will get faster and faster because now it's also receiving Verium's blocks. Initially, we're going to launch Verium without a connection into the VeriCoin consensus to make sure basically that Verium is solid, the protocol is smooth before we merge the two blockchains together as far as the consensus goes. But when we do, VeriCoin will actually speed up over time. So VeriCoin will become a faster and faster transaction currency. It will always be faster than Verium because it's doing VeriCoin blocks as it currently does per minute right now, in addition to however many Verium blocks there are at any given time. And it'll always be cheaper to use VeriCoin as a currency because we're also going to set a 10 times decrease in the total supply of Verium relative to VeriCoin. So basically the same fee on Verium for sends is going to potentially be, assuming the market value holds the supply ratio, it could be around 10 times cheaper to send VeriCoin. And in the Verium wallet, we will have the ability, once the system is up and running and well tested against the Verium protocol, like Pat said, VRM, which is likely to be the acronym, to VRC, Veribit, instant conversion. And then in the VeriCoin wallet will be the only one with Veribit to Bitcoin because it's cheaper and faster to use as payments, but it can also go VRC to VRM. And so with increased security for VeriCoin, increased speed, increased scalability for VeriCoin, in addition to a cost-value relationship being connected into the consensus of VeriCoin, and the fact that Verium itself, on its own, in its own right, is actually a really interesting, innovative approach to POW. And because of the variable block time and the reward scheme, we're going to call it proof of work time. You guys can see me? So we're going to call it proof of work time, and it's because of the variable block time. But also, interestingly, the rewards for Verium will be in mining per minute, in a mining per minute scheme. So basically, if the block time is 5 minutes, you'll get a certain number of Verium per minute mining between blocks. So if the block is 6 minutes, if the block is 4 minutes, it'll be that number of minutes times the number of coins per minute at a given block time. And the slower the block time, the higher the reward per minute. The faster the block time, the lower the reward per minute. So that it works like a scarce commodity like Bitcoin or gold, where it becomes more and more difficult to find the blocks, well, the rewards for the blocks over time, proportional to the computational power that's inputted. So basically, if we do this right and it works out, and people like it, and people mine it, then what will happen at different phases will be the block time will be at the rate at which it's profitable to mine that number of Verium per minute mining. So essentially the value of Verium will ultimately then determine the block time, which will determine the rewards per minute mining. And basically the market will decide how the protocol performs in the end, what the dynamics of it are, which is really great to have that feedback. And me and Pat were sketching out the numbers today, and assuming things don't change by launch as far as how we parameterize it, it's probably going to be anywhere between 4 and 64 years it will take, depending on how actively mined it is at any over the course of Verium's life. Anywhere from 4 to 64 years for the full supply of Verium, which will be 10 times less than VeriCoin, to be reached. At that point, it will continue in parity with VeriCoin and inflate, continue to inflate in perpetuity at about a 2 to 2.5% or so inflation rate. So once we reach 10 times supply parity with VeriCoin, it will be in parallel inflating around 2 to 2.5% with VeriCoin. So basically, apart from the initial phase, the goal with Verium is to be at a 10 times parity with VeriCoin, and the reward scheme will basically work towards that end in the dynamic system. Jay, you want to talk?
Of course I want to talk. I always want to talk. First of all, do we have like a celebration? Yay, 2 years, VeriCoin. I don't know. I don't know what I missed.
No, we're waiting for you to do that, JJ.
To
Okay.
last 2 years in crypto is no small feat.
No, it isn't. They die left and right, these coins. But okay, well, yeah, well, I guess what I wanted to do, I had like a whole little thing, but that got thrown out. So what I wanted to do is for new users who may be, you know, listening or in the future going to watch this, let's introduce, you know, who you guys are, and you know what you do. So Pat, well, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we all do sort of the same thing. We all work to engineer VeriCoin. But I'm Pat. Doug and I had been talking for years about cryptocurrency and decided there was a big gap in innovation in terms of regular, you know, not smart contracts, not all the buzzy features, but true cryptocurrency that's useful for a lot of stuff. So that's why we decided to make VeriCoin. And after thinking about it more, we thought there's really room for a good innovative proof of work currency, which is Verium, and of course it's better to link the two. So we're going to be connecting the two in a lot of ways. I think one thing we didn't mention earlier was in order to help decentralize it, we're going to make it very memory hard. I don't know if you mentioned that, Doug, but so it's going to be something that GPUs are going to struggle with. ASICs aren't going to be able to handle at first. That's not to say no one will be able to figure out how to do something with it, but at least for the early days, it's going to be something that you're going to CPU mine. So when we release Verium in the wallet, we're going to release the CPU miner for it, and it's not going to run on just any computer, unfortunately, but that's to make it so people can't just run on any ASIC or any GPU. Anyway. About what I do, Doug and I are sort of we chat a lot. We've known each other for several years now, and we like to argue about how things work.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, Doug comes up with some interesting ideas, but there's usually a couple things that need to be patched, so I'm usually the guy who figures out how to make them work. And otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. And of course, Doug can talk about himself and Dave about himself. One thing I would like, though, when Dave gets to him, is if you could talk about the usage of Veribit and Verasend, because those are really his two baby features. You know, the ones that he's the big daddy for. So
what do you do outside of VeriCoin in a very narrow sense? Like.
So yeah, I'm hopefully about done with my PhD from Rutgers University. I'm studying. I got it, JJ. I got it.
Okay. I'm just
studying biochemistry and quantitative biology. So a lot of what I do is computational. A lot of what I do is experimental. It's very nice being able to merge the two things, and that's actually where I met Doug. Doug and I both work together and have really engineered some very cool stuff in the world of biology, including designing a couple of inhibitors that hopefully will become drugs for influenza. Some software that can help automate and make drug design easier. So as an academic, this is something that I personally find very interesting. And rather than getting in this to make lots of money or whatever, it helps fuel my brain to think about these kind of problems. I've always been into cryptography and ways of money management and that kind of stuff. So this is really a natural thing for me to like to do.
Awesome. All right, Doug, you want to just say, real briefly, what do you do outside? Sure. What do you do for VeriCoin? What do you do outside of it?
Yeah, so like Pat said, I'm kind of the idea man for VeriCoin, and I do a lot of the protocol development. But also, like Pat said, I have tons of ideas, but about 98% of them are complete garbage. But most of them tend to be interesting. And then there's the 2% that are quite good with some help from other people with Pat's skills, with JJ's skills, with Dave's skills, and many other people who have worked hard to make VeriCoin what it is over the 2 years, and then including Steve, who did some major heavy lifting on especially the user interface. And then at work, I'm a scientific programmer, and I'm a forever intending to get my graduate degree, but I just keep on doing scientific programming because I really like it, and I don't really want to take classes, but I need to just get my PhD and be done with it. But I really like science. I like technology. This year I'm up to 15. I'm a co-author on 15 scientific publications, which I'm pretty proud of. They all like popped up at the same time. It was like years of work on different projects with different people, and then they all start publishing papers. It's like, whoa, suddenly I have a bunch of authorships, which is really cool. So it's getting me motivated to actually bite the bullet and like do the graduate work to get a degree. But anyway, I do basically programming to, like Pat said, design usually small proteins for different reasons. I'm working with a group in Israel to design chlorophyll binding proteins to try and make solar cell technology, basic science implementations of potential future solar cell technologies, and also peptide therapeutics, like Pat mentioned, and a bunch of other stuff. So that's a quick overview of what I do.
So that's like biotech, basically.
Yeah. I mean, every decade there's like a new terminology for it, but yeah.
Oh, I know. I got you. Okay. So let's shoot over to Dave. Dave, what? Obviously, you handle most of the features and special editions.
Most of what I worked on was a lot of the outside stuff right around the beginning. I did a bunch of work on the original mining pool while we were still in mining phase. VeriSend, Veribit, as those are actually outside features of they're not actually as part of the protocol. I actually built those separately. And I, as someone with probably the strongest computer background science, I'm also a bit of a verifier and checker of some of the ideas that they have, and I've read my fair share of white papers and technical journals, so I help a little bit there.
No. Yeah, we can tell you're a computer scientist because of the background.
Yeah, exactly. Who makes their bed anyway? So day to day, I work as a programmer. Big surprise. I work for Microsoft, working on OneDrive, which is the cloud storage, which is really why I'm the one who's kind of doing a lot of the web services that are associated with VeriCoin, because it's kind of what I work with day to day.
Okay, awesome, man. Yeah. Okay, so this is the trio, and we also Steve did a lot of input. Last year, and
Steve went on a coding rampage, and he completely overhauled the user interface, and he did some improvements to proof of stake time too, some efficiency improvements, and a few other things in the protocol a little bit, and he did tons of stuff. Now he's pretty busy with his real job, but he did a lot of work, deserves a lot of credit too.
Yeah, he's really passionate about the politics at the moment. So am I. Everybody, I know. Relax. So
everybody's like, quit telling JJ to tweet about Bernie Sanders. Just tweet about VeriCoin, or start telling JJ to quit tweeting about. I'm like, he's like a volunteer PR guy. I mean, what am I going to do? Tell him to not use his Twitter account?
Yeah, I know. I went too deep this year, so I dug too deep into politics this year. But okay, so let's talk about the current tech that we have. Right now there's a lot of proof of stake coins out there, and everyone has well, most of them are just, copy, cloned or whatever. Some of them have added some value to theirs or tried a different method. Why is proof of stake time valuable? And I know we're going to be working on some of the cons to it, which may be the inefficiency. So maybe you could talk about a little bit about why it's so powerful, what we have now.
Okay. I'll try to do this short and sweet. Basically, what you don't want in proof of stake, because you don't have computational power forming the consensus, which is a clear arms race that requires cost and time and electricity mostly. Because you don't have all that, you need to prevent essentially botnets on one hand from just running rampant with the consensus and double spending all over the place, which could easily happen for pretty cheap if you lit up a bunch of servers and you didn't have a good proof of stake protocol. Alternatively, you need so typically how that's handled is the coin ownership basically is proportional to your vote in the consensus, so that whatever the cost of the coins that you own is the power you have in the consensus, or your wallet does in the consensus. And when it has that share of the consensus power proportional to the amount you've invested in the currency, you then basically thereby are protecting the consensus with your investment, rather than with electricity or computational power. The problem is that, for instance, if you have a proof of stake currency, and actually it didn't happen in our case, though we wanted it to more so, we wanted to be able to mine more coins ourselves at launch, but for whatever reason we were very popular at launch, and there was people who even mined at launch before we even did. It was fair. It was after it was released, but they were ready, and there was a lot of people mining at launch, point being. But in some proof of stake currencies, because the number of coins is proportional to the consensus power, it's very easy to potentially have basically a collusion pool of investors that maybe were just part of the development process or knew the developers or whatever, but basically a handful of people having a shit ton of coins. That's blatant in the case of a pre-mine, or subverted in the case of like a ninja pre-mine, essentially, or just a fair launch but nobody was there. So in proof of work, that's not really a problem for the consensus, like Bitcoin, Satoshi has 1 million coins, etc. That's not really a problem because it's computational power that determines the consensus. If Bitcoin was proof of stake, then Satoshi could basically double spend the F out of Bitcoin potentially. So so what we tried to do was balance that. Find a function basically that strikes a balance between the botnets being able to control the consensus cheaply, and the rich, potentially well-advantaged, being able to collude and control the consensus or double spend in either case. And so what we did was we basically kept this the time that you're holding the coins as a factor, like it was originally with the first proof of stake coin, PureCoin, but we scaled it off after a certain point, depending on how strong the consensus is, so that everyone basically has to more actively stake their coins to earn maximum reward. And what this does is it basically allows smaller wallets with more holding time to be competitive with larger wallets with less. But it requires all of them, proportional to the number of coins that they have, to be more active to earn their maximum rewards. And basically try and find that sweet spot in between protecting the consensus with investment and also against botnets, basically. So it's an attempt, and I think a successful one, to further decentralize the consensus of proof of stake to the point where we have no training wheels on our VeriCoin anymore, and we don't need them. We don't even have supernodes. It's like awesome. Like I moved to a new house. I started up a VeriCoin wallet on a completely new IP. We had no supernodes at the time, and boom, connected. In like an hour had. I live in New Jersey, so maybe that's why. But in like an hour had 40 connections or so, and all good. Like the network is mature, it's decentralized, stable. It was tough getting to this point, but
Yeah.
we're here now, and now we're ready to move forward.
So maybe let's talk, Pat. Maybe you want to talk about. I mean, although we have this, we really believe we have a great protocol, proof of stake. It does seem to be a little bit inefficient. So maybe you could just say what we're going to do. We're going to try to slim that down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how much of the if it's the protocol versus the wallet bulkiness, but
Right.
because even when you disable staking, you end up using hundreds of megs of RAM. But one thing that we're going to be working on in the future is if you have a wallet that isn't expected to stake in the near future, we can sort of halt the attempt to stake to sort of save your CPU from trying to make the calculations run. And that way we can run them every so often, but only to check how long it's going to take to stake.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bloat, I guess, in the wallet currently. And,
I agree. I think we all agree.
One of the reasons is because the community kept asking for more and more things in the wallet.
Yeah.
But as you add more and more things to the wallet, you end up making the wallet bigger and bigger, and then not run on Raspberry Pis and that kind of stuff. So it's really a compromise we need to make. We need to figure out exactly what people really want, what we really need, and pull out the stuff that we don't.
Right. It's not maybe consolidate it, and so it doesn't open full web pages inside of.
Yeah. So if we can make it open in your
browser.
browser like Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever. Well, hopefully you don't use Internet Explorer anymore. But whatever browser you use, we can make it pop open in that instead of in the VeriCoin wallet itself. It should be a lot more efficient. So these are all things we're trying to figure out the best ways to accomplish.
Yeah, it's important going forward to try to just stick with what's really good. I mean, features are nice. The ticker, I mean, it's nice. We could probably do it in a way more efficient way. Little things like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think a couple things we are going to be adding to VeriCoin is I was just talking to Dave about this last time we did like a dev hangout with just us. Was we're going to have, if for some reason your Veribit transaction doesn't go through, which happens for a number of reasons, mostly somewhat random reasons, but if for some reason it doesn't go through, we're going to have a field. I'm going to put it in the next version of the wallet where you can put a return VeriCoin address. So basically, you put a return VeriCoin address in, or actually, I'm probably going to have the wallet choose your default VeriCoin address from your wallet, so you don't have to think about it. But basically, you send Veribit. There's a return address associated with the private keys in your wallet, and if for some reason the transaction doesn't go through and become Bitcoin, then it'll send back under a timer. Dave's going to work on that to send it back to your wallet. So that's one of the things we're going to add. But another thing we want to do is really slim down the wallet to really what's basically needed, and because we do want it to run on Raspberry Pis, and I think Pat's idea about basically holding off on staking until you're more likely to actually get a stake is really good, especially for Raspberry Pis and so on. And then I think in the case of Verium, it's going to have its own wallet, and it's going to be kind of simple. The Verium wallet is not going to be like a coin. It's going to be this thing where you can send and receive and mine a digital reserve. You know, that's really what it's going to be. The VeriCoin wallet is going to be where you're checking the price.
Right.
You're looking at exchanges. You're on the forums. You're doing all these kinds of things. You're paying for stuff with Veribit or with VeriCoin directly, et cetera, et cetera. Verium is really going to be a new protocol, and it's not going to be framed as a coin, even though in a sense it is. The protocol is going to run differently. It's not going to be a good coin. It's going to be probably around 10 times more costly to send. It's probably going to be 5 times slower, certainly in the beginning, than VeriCoin, for security reasons, and so on and so forth. So that's also going to be different than the VeriCoin wallet. So VeriCoin wallet's going to get slimmed down. Verium wallet's going to be pretty basic, not intended to be used. You could figure the Verium wallet's going to be like a gold in a safe, and you can also mine for gold in your safe. And then the VeriCoin wallet is going to be like a savings account / checking account where you earn interest. And you do other stuff, online with it. And then maybe one day we'll join it together into a software package. Unify it into a software package. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. What people want.
If the market really likes this, I think that's the route to go. And we already know kind of, there's a lot of possibilities the blockchain provides, and we don't want to give away. We have to get over this and see how this works first before we can kind of do some super cool possibilities. We'll see. First, that's the number one. Okay, so briefly before I get to these questions, there's a whole bunch from the community.
Cool.
I just wanted to dispel or demystify some of the initial confusion about Verium. So there's literally 2 versions of Verium. The initial one, maybe you can explain why that.
Yeah. So the one major thing that is different from the original plan is, I wanted to mention this. I'm glad you reminded me. We were originally going to peg them. Okay, so we were originally going to essentially use like the Veribit transaction system to fix the trade ratio of the two. Pat very quickly realized that wouldn't work, basically because primarily for practical reasons, we would have had to actually pre-mine VeriCoin to never run out of VeriCoin, and we would definitely have to pre-mine the heck out of Verium. To be able to offer a swap that doesn't put us on the hook for something we don't have. So practically, it's not realistic. But the other problem with it is that it would inherently be centralized, and it would potentially affect the value. So it could potentially be a central point of failure that hurts potentially both coins, or certainly is a potential central point of failure for the entire system. So those 2 reasons combined, we cannot peg the 2 together. But what we are going to do is they're going to share, VeriCoin, as we said, is going to share blocks of Veriums. And so basically, VeriCoin's value is going to be also proportional to the work put into Verium, in addition to Verium, the value being proportional to that. Also, we're going to have a supply ratio of about 10 times, ultimately, when the full supply of Verium is released. And then they're both going to float in perpetuity at the 2 to 2.5% inflation. So different than physical gold, which they're going to start mining asteroids for, which changes the supply of gold on the Earth.
Right.
We can control the supply of Verium, and we can control, and we already did in the protocol, control the supply of VeriCoin. So, theoretically in an equilibrated market, which obviously crypto isn't, but theoretically in an equilibrated market, supply is going to be proportional to demand, or inversely proportional to demand, or however it ends up being at any given time. But basically, supply and demand are proportional to one another. So essentially, we've set up the market kinetics that they share value via consensus, and they share a fixed ratio of supply via the protocol. So we think it's reasonable to assume that the value will be approximately proportional to the supply ratio. But obviously, who knows what's going to happen? But that's also going to be a cool experiment. It's basically going to be, I was tweeting today trying to give a context for it for everybody because it's a lot of information. It's going to be a market-based, it's going to be like a market-based crypto gold standard. So there's going to be no Federal Reserve. It's going to be your own private reserves that you mine. It's going to be your own private money that you hold.
That's what crypto's been missing, right? I mean, everybody has, that's what everybody, that's huge right there.
You know what's cool about it is when people are introduced to Bitcoin, they're like, I don't get it. It's money, but you're mine for it. It doesn't make sense. Because then they think you don't mine for coins, you mine for gold. And then they're like, so it's somewhere in between currency and gold. And then they just don't get it, and they're like, whatever, it's not tangible to me. But this is actually tangible. This is the digital version of a scarce resource. This is like the digital version of platinum. This is the digital version of money. And they have a fixed ratio of supply with one another.
So yeah, we were debating back and forth whether on the ratio of 100 to 1 or 10 to 1. Mm-hmm. I think we all agreed on 10 to 1. Maybe you want to just expand on that a little bit.
Well, mostly we don't want the market cap to be too low, which you could have a fairly valuable coin, and if you don't have many coins, the market cap's going to be super low, and nobody's ever going to see it. It's going to be in the top 200 or something. It's just not going to come up on people's radar. So there's just what's practical for people to find this coin on lists. How is it going to rate in the market generally? And then the other is 10 times is a nice ratio because essentially when you mine for coins for Verium in all the early phases, you're going to be mining for more than one coin a block. The rewards are going to be changing depending on the block time, etc. The details of which will come later. We've pretty much worked them out, but I don't want to start giving numbers just in case they change. But basically, you're going to be mining for more than one Verium for sure, for the vast majority of Verium's mining supply distribution. But it's not going to be also overinflated to the point where it's competitively scarce with a currency where, the currency has to be in greater liquid supply than the commodity. So 10 times is just it's a nice round number that kind of fits the couple categories that we need to hit for whether you feel like you're getting coins and whether the market cap is decent, and it's also a simple number. You can just think of it. If Verium's value is, say, proportional to the supply and approximately 10 times more than VeriCoin, then it's going to be 10 times more costly because we're going to have the same fee mechanism. It's going to be 10 times more costly to send it than VeriCoin. So it's kind of, it then sets itself up as a commodity that's harder to move but more valuable and costs a lot in work and electricity to get, versus a currency that's easy to transmit across the world, very, very cheap, and easy to earn interest on. You don't have to you just sit on it basically, and then you open your wallet and you start staking and you earn interest. So we think it's going to be intuitive, but also it makes the Verium protocol really secure, because we don't have to fix a fast block time for transactions at the expense of security, basically. And we can change the incentive structure of the mining dynamics based on block time and block reward proportional to the number of minutes mining. Right. So proof of work time, it's going to be more like punching in. It's going to be more like punching in. You're still not going to be guaranteed to get coins. You have to be competitive, like anything. But it's going to be more like punching in at a clock than the current proof of work protocol, because the rewards are going to come per minute mining, and the difficulty adjustment is going to work a bit differently, and we think that it's going to equilibrate at different phases where the block time is in a moderate zone, the reward is profitable, and the difficulty is not too high to the point where you can't get any coins. That's the goal. So we're trying to disincentivize ASICs with like Pat said, the algorithm, and we're trying to disincentivize a excessive computational horse race, but not at the expense of security, by varying block time proportional to it, so that the average user can mine for a much longer period of time. Obviously, if it becomes extremely successful proof of work currency, people will spend, engineers will spend a lot of time designing hardware to mine it, like what happened in Bitcoin. That's inevitable if it becomes very successful. Right. We're not going to try and cat and mouse that. And there's an argument to be made that people designing ASICs at some point over the course of a mature currency actually helps the ecosystem, because they're now companies investing in this ecosystem.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So but we're gonna try our best to disincentivize and make it difficult, using some tools that no other coin is using, primarily payment in block time and the block time varying.
Yeah. Hey guys, why don't we move to questions now? It's already been an hour, and I don't think people are going to want to watch a whole movie's length to hang out with us.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay.
That was supposed to be a short answer, I think.
No. That's okay. Well, here let's. Okay, so let's try to keep these answers shorter. First of all, shout out to my friend Jen, who made the VeriCoin cake. I got to do that. She made. Did you guys see all the cake?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Double layered.
Gorgeous.
So okay. So from Janik, and to just make it short. What problems does Verium solve? I know it's a little generic, but
I think Doug just you want me to cover this? Doug?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So Doug already mentioned a lot of the things. Doug and I both. One, you don't have the issue with Bitcoin where you have 1 megabyte per 10-minute blocks, and you can't have enough. You can't store enough information to enclose everyone's transactions. And of course, as your block time gets faster and faster and faster, you lose that issue. The fact also that Verium and VeriCoin are going to be interactive means that if you want a really fast block time, you move your coins to VeriCoin, spend that. But that's definitely a problem. The fact that it'll be pretty memory intensive means that we'll hopefully have fewer mega miners. People can't just flip on their Bitcoin or Litecoin ASICs and start hitting VeriCoin hard. So sort of like the regular people can get coins again. So that's a problem that's solved. Another one is we don't have to worry about, you don't have these massive dips in the reward it's going to be a gradual and flowing change. Bitcoin last time it went from 50 to 25 bitcoins per block. There was a huge upset. The price went crazy. People that didn't have enough Bitcoin were buying it up, making the price go up, which is of course good for people that own Bitcoin. People that wanted to get into Bitcoin kind of got screwed. In addition, you had the difficulty go down after the mining temporarily because people didn't think it was worth it anymore. So if we have this gradual change, you'll keep a pretty good group of miners, I think, and you don't have any of these massive, one day huge changes at once. So that's definitely something that's helped as well.
All right. So will Verium be open source?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. And I'm just reading off. So decentralized or centralized?
Decentralized.
Yeah. When can we expect the release of Verium?
Well, Doug and I have been prototyping it. It's not ready yet.
It's not.
We don't really have or want to give an exact date yet because there could always be problems that we don't expect, as is almost always the case. So it's something that's going to happen, but we don't want to give any hard dates
Hard
yet.
dates. Yeah. No, I think that's under promise, over deliver. I think that's the way to go. Okay. Real quick. So does this be back to Doug? Can you just touch on Vericen 2.0 and I don't know, Doug and Dave, and just talk about like just the general idea of what it is? And I mean that's the anon and username combination.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back into working on this, but basically the short version of this is I went on a Verium kick for a while and stopped working on this, but basically, in short, it's going to be if it works out, everything works out with the technology that I'm trying to implement. It's going to be essentially stealth usernames, basically.
Right.
So it's going to be a username, but it's not going to be directly linkable without doing some exhaustive analysis of the blockchain, much more so than you would have to do for a regular VeriCoin transaction, to a username. So a disconnect between a VeriCoin address and a username, but in the UI, you put in a username.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about this for a while, fleshing out tons of different ideas. I'm pretty sure I have the number of technologies needed to now put it all together. So I'll be working on that and posting updates on the forums about successes and failures regarding that.
Okay, yeah, we've kind of we were planning to release that before Verium, but I think our focus is now shifted completely on Verium. Let's get that airtight, tested. And test it well, and then then we can start.
Well, we had some breakthroughs on Verium that makes it easier to get the ball rolling now.
Right.
And
right.
It's hard for me to work on both at the same time, but we'll see. I'll post on the forums about it.
Okay, cool. So I actually, this is from Mirax. I have I guess a little bit of a surprise even for the developers. So. I don't understand his question completely, but he says, can we make VRC staking in Iguana? Well, I want to just mention that I actually hit up James Lee, JL777 from SuperNet, and so VeriCoin will be supported by Iguana, so that's some news, and I'm going to just verbatim explain what he wrote. Just got all the Bitcoin RPC coded, but it still needs to be validated. But coin-specific things it won't know about, just the core transactions. Soon I will be adding VeriCoin support to Iguana, which will allow atomic cross-chain swaps. And that was from JL777. Another thing, Shapeshift will be, it's not yet, but we are basically next in line to be back on Shapeshift. They had unfortunate stuff that happened to them, and but I've talked to Emily and the team, and Yeah, we'll be there soon. We were hoping for tonight, but it's just they have to test and they have to get it right. So we'll be back there soon. Okay. So I think we've answered that. Okay, maybe some information about the Verium mining algorithm.
Yeah, we talked about this a bit. I'll just give a quick overview. Basically, it's not 100% yet, but it's most likely going to be a hard memory version of script. So basically, it's going to be the script algorithm, but a very hard memory version of it. Most likely, that's what it's going to be. We need to do tests and make sure it all gels well with what we're implementing. But that's probably what it's going to be. So, like Pat was saying, it's going to be really hard to run on GPUs. There's not going to be any ASICs for it, certainly initially. And it'll be CPU. It'll be a CPU coin, definitely initially. It can't be just like a crappy, laptop. Well, it can be, but you're going to get very few coins, or maybe none at all, depending on how popular it is to mine. But it can be like, a desktop mining coin, certainly initially. And we're interested to see how the variable block time, the coins per minute reward scheme, in addition to the memory hard algorithm, will all fit together to shape the dynamics of the difficulty and hopefully elongate and maximize decentralization, basically.
Okay. Let's get. Okay. So basically, I'm just going to answer William right off the bat. Can I buy Verium, or is it only mined? Well, you will be able to mine it first. And then eventually, with
if it goes on, if it goes on to an exchange, you'll be able to trade it for BTC.
Right.
One of the things we're gonna try and push is for exchanges to set up VRC VRM trading pairs, so that people can go in between the two with less fees and less friction. If that's implemented, say at Poloniex, then probably the Veribit-like like swap service that we have will probably use that because it'll be less fees. But that'll depend on the exchanges. Ultimately, it's up to the exchanges what happens with that. But I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be on exchanges.
How long do we have a rough estimate of how long the mining phase will go?
Well, it's going to be in perpetuity, basically. But the initial supply could take anywhere, based on our calculations as of this point, anywhere between 4 and 64 years to release, depending on how powerfully it's mined. So
I guess that explained it earlier. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is from William Maddock. I've heard that Verium is a game changer in crypto. You've heard right, but we'll see until we get it released. Sounds exciting. However, if Verium is open source, what will prevent other coins copying the code? Nothing. That's because it's open source. Am I correct? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, but when you use, when it's tied to a different coin, it's going to be pretty unique.
Real quick, basically, this is like also the private blockchain argument.
Right.
You can't have a currency and it be closed source. The reason is because, I mean, you could, okay, but there's nothing stopping the developers from having coins go into their wallet without other people knowing, basically, essentially. They could be transactions that aren't broadcasted to the blockchain that's made available, to the block explorers. You could do any number of things to scam people if you have closed source blockchain currencies. The banks are going to have back-end private systems, and they have their own checks and balances and auditing and all this stuff. We're not going to do that. So you have no choice. But it's actually the best thing for the consumer, because you get this, very costless, virtually costless worldwide money, and it's completely transparent. So it's of more benefit. It's more of a pro than a con.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to answer some of this. William Maddock. We have a lot to shout about now with Verium and VeriCoin and Verium. What is the marketing strategy to increase adoption and new buyers? Well, first, I'd like to say that marketing is first we want to get the protocol sound and everything, all the technology correct 100% before you do marketing. There's reasons why maybe you want to elaborate why why we didn't we decided not to join Microsoft Azure or whatever. It was it's we could do a lot of marketing just to pump a coin or something like that. We're not like that. So we're in here for the long term. We want to get the technology correct and what we think. And then if it does well and the market receives it well, then yeah, of course we could use some marketing.
Initially, the primary marketing is going to be via mining, meaning people are going to get involved in VeriCoin and Verium via mining, because they can also earn some, although a little bit, but they'll earn some bonus VeriCoin when mining Verium. So they'll be exposed to VeriCoin. Miners will be exposed to VeriCoin.
So you might get one Verium and then also 1/10 of a VeriCoin, something or something like that.
Yeah, we're still figuring out the reward scheme for the VeriCoin auxiliary blocks with the bonus VeriCoin for the miners, yeah, we don't know what the numbers are going to be on that yet, but that's actually going to come after. We're going to release Verium. It's going to be standalone. We're going to make sure everything's solid. It's going to get, the network is going to get strong if it's successful, and then we're going to link the two together.
And we're gonna give miners a little, early miners a little bit of some type of break or something like that, right?
Well, it's gonna be like Bitcoin, where there's going to be a reward halving. So basically, more coins come out in the beginning than at the end of the release of the supply, which I said could take anywhere from 4 to 64 years. There is going to be a reward halving, but instead of it being in increments of 4 years like Bitcoin, it's going to be in increments of block time speed. So if the block time speeds up a minute, then the reward gets cut in half. It's going to be, but it's going to actually be a continuous function that does that. It's not going to be integers. It's going to be a continuous function, but it's going to basically be equivalent to a halving per minute block time increase speed.
Okay.
Hey JJ, about marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to note VeriCoin. We didn't pre-mine it or anything like that. We didn't sell any coins. People that mined it got it, and that was it. A lot of people donated, but a lot of the coins that were donated are sitting in funds, slush pools for Vericent to help mix, to help make things anonymous, and in the Veribit system to ensure that there's efficient, VeriCoin to Bitcoin transactions. So a lot of the donations have, and the other ones have gone to fund things such as the Android wallet or the blockchain explorer.
Right.
So we don't have any special funds for marketing. In fact, the last over a year, we've all paid out of pocket for a lot of our, this stuff. Like Doug and I have contributed to help keep the website running and that kind of stuff out of our own money. So, to expect us to, have lots of money to hire a PR firm or to hire, professional marketers and that kind of stuff. It just doesn't exist. And that might be something that would be interesting to do for VeriCoin if we were to pre-mine and then sell some, but it's not really our MO. So you guys are welcome to help us get it by donating coin, VeriCoin or Bitcoin. But realistically, people stopped donating VeriCoin soon after the MinPal hack, and it's really just been us sort of continuing it along its path. At least now we don't have to pay for supernodes anymore because it's so secure you don't need them. But it's sort of unrealistic to expect us to be to have a huge marketing clout behind us. However, if you're interested in helping out, JJ, I'm sure would be happy to work with you guys, whoever's interested in helping to get VeriCoin to the next level, and then Verium when it's released.
Yeah, I've been working on, I've done my online media. I've been talking with other companies or other coins, and just even doing all the social media and stuff. And Janix really helped out helped out a great deal with that. Ernie's helped out, and Soldiers really helped out. So but it's not just marketing. You have to have substance behind whatever you do. Marketing is, I think it's super important, but you have to have like legit substance and excitement behind what you do. And we're not quite there yet. We're waiting. The Verium we'll go nuts with, but we have to get there first, guys. Now, Bitcoin Talk. There's a should we open a new thread? I think we are going to open a new thread. Tentatively, I have June 1st pegged. That said, we have to be closer to Verium to know exactly when that's going to be released to give a more accurate. I want to open it. The timing is everything in this, and I want to time it right, and I want to open it before Verium gets released. So just say June 1st for right now, but that may change. We'll see. We'll see how the work on Verium goes, and it will be, the developers will not be running the Bitcoin Talk thread. It will be a community thing. So I believe Soldier and I will be handling that. We could use another moderator. The fact is, it's going to be an unmoderated thread. So if you spam, we'll just be we'll be reporting all spam. If it's spam, it's just getting reporting. Otherwise, you can go ahead and FUD, hype, get crazy, whatever you guys do in the free market. You guys are nuts, but that's fun. But we're really trying to make a difference, and we're more focused on the technology, and people can say what they will. People are going to say crazy things, whether you believe them or not. It's up to you. Just be careful. So yeah, and I believe that's just about everything. I don't know. There's some. Crazy Rican, you just calm down. We're working on everything. We're totally fine. Everything's awesome. It just takes time, guys, to make this happen. That's all.
Yeah, hopefully you guys really like the Verium logo. I think Bruno did a great job on it.
Yeah.
And,
shout out to Bruno.
And also, thanks, Bruno. You've done a lot of great work for VeriCoin and in the future Verium. Hopefully we can get Will Sedlak or someone else to make some. So I don't know if you guys remember the physical VeriCoins, but maybe we could have some of the physical Verium made. That would be pretty sweet.
That would be good.
I am so burnt up that I don't have one. I have everything but that.
Hey, JJ, there's one on eBay right now for only $1,450.
You did really? Wow.
Gee. Well, I'll sell my car and get one.
Yes.
I don't even know if my car's worth that much. Anyway, there's a possibility I might be moving back up to Jersey. Listen, just so the community knows. First of all,
you mean back to reality?
Yeah, Doug's had a pretty crazy.
Jersey is reality to the
It is.
extreme.
It is reality extreme. And, you know, things have been a little bit slower. You know, Doug had a baby daughter, and how's she doing?
Good, she's doing good.
Awesome. It's so obviously that takes up some of your time, if not all of your time, and but everybody's healthy there. And I am either staying in Florida or moving back to New Jersey within the next two months. And it's so right now, you know, I'll do the social media as much as possible, but I don't, you know, just give me a break. Basically, give me a break until July. I'm going to be trying as much as I possibly can. And if you want to know why my thumb is black, it's because I got a wart on the friggin' thing, and I use silver nitrate on it. So, yeah, that's
TMI, dude. TMI.
Yeah, it's a dude. That was true.
I was better off thinking you just had some ink on your hands.
No, I put marker on it. Yeah, it's not silver nitrate.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I look burnt too. But yeah, so I hope that answers a good deal of questions. Let me just double check real quick, so I don't want to. Okay, hold on a second. One second. We got one question from Widget. Hold on, let me just jump on here. Oh, of course, everything's updating right now. Gotta love that. Hold on. One moment, guys. Okay, so this is from Nix the Narrative. If you're going to do hard memory, why not fork yes script or YE script?
I don't know what that is.
One important thing is we need to keep it compatible with Verium or with VeriCoin.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have a script base, likely a script based system that has an n. So like, you know, script n. Litecoin uses n of 2 to the 10th power. VertCoin used 2 to the 11th power for a long time, and then it switched. But if we can keep with that system, it would be much easier to integrate compatibility with VeriCoin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might look into what he mentioned to see what he's talking about.
Yeah, I can send you the link. He actually sent me a link to that. So
okay.
Shout out to Nix the Narrative. He's a pretty cool dude. Also, Piss Dove is still here watching away. I don't know if that's. I don't know if it's.
He was the guy that was in early who made some troll.
He made a fake Daikoku at one time. He was always like trolling, like he was like a professional friendly troller.
Yeah.
Professional. Yeah, he's friendly though. I don't.
Yeah, he's a friendly troll.
I'm just double checking.
Hey guys, my battery's about to die.
Yeah, I think we covered majority of everything. I hope that's. Uh-oh. I think we're losing Pat. Anyway, so I think we've covered a good deal about Verium and how it's going to interact with VeriCoin, and you know how it's going to secure VeriCoin, and I think Pat's gone.
Yeah, well, this is a good point then. Anyway, I think.
Yeah, no, this is a good point. Anyway, this has been a VeriCoin Dev Hangout. Shout out to Dave, who is
Big D.
He's underrated, guys. Smart dude over there. He helps out. So, and we're still here. 2 years. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Take care, guys. Sorry, my the webcam turned off on my computer because it has 1% battery life left.
Okay, let's wrap this up, and we'll have this up and on the official VeriCoin channel as soon as I possibly can, and I'll edit it and make it look pretty.
Cool, man.
Oh.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Everybody, thanks. Thanks, good.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. See you guys.